Hey everyone, I am Vijay Chandula, and in this video, I will teach you how to format your resume in such a fashion that it looks professional and makes an immediate impact on the hiring manager. Alright, before we get started, if you have not yet watched our video on how to structure your resume in a professional format, then do watch the video by clicking on a link somewhere around this video and then come back to this video.
So your resume is only as good as your content and the kind of presentation of that content you have done in your resume. And that's the reason, first, the substance of your resume becomes extremely important. Second, how professionally you have written that substance become equally important. The first one will ensure that you get a shortlist. Second one will ensure that you are not getting a rejection. Both are equally important, and let's look at it how. So let's look at how we can ensure that our resume has the right content as well as the right format to it. So first thing that comes to your resume after the basic structure that you have kept on your resume is your objective or summary. If we talk about which one should be put, one is, so whether we should put an objective in our resume or we should put a summary. The answer here is in the definition of objective and summary. Objective conveys what the job seeker wants. Basically, I want to work with a great company. I want to work on my dream role. I am someone, who want to work in my preferred location. That is what I want. That is what is my objective. But the problem with an objective is that it talks only about I as a candidate. It doesn't talk about how my aspirations are going to match with what is it that the job description has on offer. So second piece is your summary, because summary is written keeping in mind what a recruiter is actually looking at. The same answers, the same objective can be translated into this kind of a summary. Data enthusiast with 2 years of experience in managing large data sets and data modeling. Proficient knowledge of statistics, machine learning and analytics. This basically tells me that he is a candidate who wants to get into data science. I am someone who is offering a job on data science. Let's look at whether we should accept or reject his or her resume. And hence, whenever you are creating your resume, write a summary instead of writing an objective. If you are not very sure on what to summarize in your resume, just wait till the time you create your resume. Once you have created your entire resume, you will get an understanding of what is the best or what is the most important part of your resume, and that you can write at the end as a summary of your resume. Number 2 is you have to mention the key skill sets that you bring to the table. So you don't have to mention all of those skill sets in very detail, but these key skill sets should be such that they are matching with what the job description has written on offer, because these key skill sets will ensure that your resume is matching with the job description. Number 3, no paragraphs, only bullet points. Why am I saying so? Let's look at it by yourself. So if you look at this slide, slide of the presentation, it clearly shows something. So if I look at a paragraph styled point in my resume, it becomes literally very cluttered. Even if I want to read it, it is too much cognitive load on my mind. Instead, if I can break that information into 2 different pointers, then that will make my job very easy. Besides, if I look at how a hiring manager tries to read information in a resume, so they read it like this: designed and developed something. Okay, now next, move to a different point. So it might very well happen that you have written a very important information in your 3rd or 4th line of the paragraph that will go completely unnoticed. So what you need to do is that you'll have to break that paragraph to 2 or 3 bullet points the way I have done here. It says the person has designed an internal tool, person has improved data understanding, and person achieved something out of it. So it clearly makes the hiring manager read 3 different informations from the same paragraph, which otherwise would have gotten completely unnoticed. Let's look at one more example. Here also, if a busy hiring manager will read this paragraph, he or she will say that the candidate has ideated and executed an internal tool and did something. Let's move on to a different line. So Instead of writing it in that fashion, what you can do, you can write it in again 2 or 3 different lines. It says you developed an internal tool, improved UX by creating dashboards, achieved something out of it. So this clearly and in a very crisp fashion tells what exactly did you do, and it makes your readability, the readability of your bullet points, much better than that of the way you have mentioned the entire information here.
If you are finding the content of this video helpful, then consider liking this video right now and subscribe the channel to get more updates on job search from ThinkSage.
Now, write everything that you are writing in your resume in a reverse chronological order. Think for a moment, if you have written something in a fashion that first I am looking at the data from 2022, then I'm looking for a data at 2005, then I'm jumping back to 2014, then I'm again going to 2021, then I'm going back to 2007, it will literally confuse my mind. I will take much more time to grasp the information from your resume. So instead, within a particular section, write information in such a way that it becomes super easy to read. For example, if I try to read, let's say, your extracurricular section, it should read something like this. You won something in 2020-22, then you participated in something which happened in 2019, then something happened in 2016, and so on and so forth. If you write it in that fashion, it makes my job of reading your resume and making a decision very, very easy. Number 5, use a very basic or clean font like Arial, Times New Roman, Helvetica, or Calibri. These kind of fonts which are very clear and which are professional. Even if you are going to a position which requires you to be creative, use a professional font, because the font will ensure that your resume is being read very, very quickly. That resume font. The second thing is the resume font, which should be between 10 to 12 points. If I talk about my own preference, I would want to write a resume with a font size of 11 or 12. 11 or 12. Why? Because at times, what the recruiters do is that when they have gotten a size, a good number of resumes for themselves, they take a printout of these resumes and then they read those resumes by using a pen or pencil. If your resume has just a 10 or a 9 font, it basically becomes not so greatly readable on that printed format. I can still zoom it on my Microsoft Word, but I will not be able to do that on a piece of paper on which I have printed your resume. So please make sure that your resume has a font which is either an 11 or 12 pointer. So do not have too much white space. If that will happen, then you won't have anything substantial to showcase. In exactly the same fashion, do not have too less white space, because that will again create a problem for you, because it will be difficult to read your resume. Let me showcase you a couple of examples. If you look at this one, if I read the third point here in this resume here, it says audited 5S in WOT stores. Now what does that mean? What is 5S? I don't know. What is WOT? I don't know. Now the problem here is that the person had an entire line where he could have written everything in detail and expressed in such a fashion that a person who is not aware of what is WOT would have clearly understood what the person is trying to convey, right? So do not maintain the white space. So do not have white space like this, because it shows that you don't have anything very substantial to showcase in your resume. Neither you should have a resume like this. So this is a screenshot of a resume that I used to have when I was looking for a job after 4 years of my work experience. So this has a lot of information crammed in 3 different cells of the table. But the problem with this information is that it is too much cognitive load on my mind. I cannot read this much information. Instead, I'll show you a live example of how you can ensure that this is taken care of. If you look at this resume, if you think that this resume doesn't look great, it is not readable, then you can just do a right click on it, go to paragraph, or you can also go here and then click on this line spacing options. Go to the before and after option. Here you can add the line spacing 6 or 3 or 7, 8, depending upon how much do you want to have, how much readable do you want to make a resume. If I do that, now this has big, so there is more space between 2 different lines. You can do the similar activity here in your resume sections as well. When you do that, it will ensure that your resume is either more readable or less readable depending upon how do you want to make your resume. All right. Now, here is the assignment for your second video of the resume series. What you need to do is that you have to do a little bit of reflection upon yourself, as in what exactly have you done in your life, what exactly have you worked upon, what exactly were those academic achievements, what exactly were those co-curricular achievements, what exactly did you do in your work experience, all of those things, and put those informations in bullet points, in one-liner bullet points in a correct format. When I say format, means a correct font and correct size. So put them in correct format, such as your correct font or correct size in your resume, to make your resume look like something which a proper professional resume writer will make.
Alright, so that's about it in this video. In the next video, we're going to talk about how to leverage action verbs to make your bullet points look even more powerful than that of what you have created so far. If you have any specific questions regarding your resume, then comment those questions in the comment box and I will be happy to answer all the questions that you have regarding your resume.